today I'm here with Jessica Boynton, who is the designer and CEO at Hakuna Wear. And I'm really excited having reviewed the Hakuna Wear board shorts. And I was just saying to Jess, I still wear them every day. So I was keen to find out a little bit more about Jess and about her company and vision, and just have a chat about the surf industry in general. So hi, Jess, thanks for joining.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So, Hakuna Wear, how did the concept come about? I know at some point along the journey you had a crowdfunding campaign going,
I did, yeah.
which is a great way to get started. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about how you got started. What was the idea?
Yeah, sure. So I started surfing about 5 years ago, and I learned to surf in San Diego, and it's cold most of the year, so I didn't really surf too much in bikinis or really at all. um, Even though I do actually now. But so on my first tropical surf trip, which was about 2.5 years ago, I packed all of my surf brand bikinis, and I went, and the waves were perfect overhead, just the most perfect warm water waves. And every single time I did a duck dive, my bikini bottoms came off.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So I was pretty shocked. And then the other thing that really annoyed me was that I would have to take a boat trip out to the break, and I couldn't bring any cash with me to pay the guy. So my boyfriend always had to bring his stuff, which made me feel like, okay, what if I was a woman traveling alone? It just made me feel kind of unempowered.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. So
was
kind of moving on from there. Go ahead.
Was that in Indonesia?
It was actually in the Philippines.
Oh, was it? Okay, wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. The Philippines I highly recommend it.
I've never been. That's one place I'd love to go and explore one day. Yeah. Okay, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, so I got back, and I kind of immediately started looking for bikini brands that were made specifically for surfing, which I think a lot of women do. And I found a couple, but nothing that kind of had every part of it taken care of. So pocket plus recycled plus stays on. I could find some that stayed on well, some that had pockets, and some that were recycled, but I couldn't find anything that had everything.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
That's important. I would never, men's gear is so technical. I would never have imagined that, women's surfwear was not. It's just fashion. It's crazy. Yeah. It's when you have a whole, professional female surfers have been around for 30 years, and the standards are accelerating beyond, imagination. It's incredible. Okay, interesting. And so what was the next step? So, how do you go from coming up with that idea to actually starting to design a product?
Yeah, good question. So it's been a huge learning experience for me. I've always been into fashion. Even though I got into chemistry and science, I've always been making my own costumes. I made my own prom dress. I'm making my own wedding dress. I've always just been into sewing. And as soon as I had this idea, I was like, okay, let me, start by sewing some things, try to see what I can do, try to look at some other brands and what they've done. And I kind of came up with some protocols, but then it was all about how do I actually get this made at a decent price so that I'm not breaking the bank. Yeah. And finding a manufacturer when I'm not in the fashion industry, even if I understand fashion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine the complexity in that process, and then finding the right supplier and all the rest of it. So on a technical level, you come up with designs, you create your own prototypes as the first kind of step, and you sew them and see how they actually feel and what the material's like.
Exactly.
And then you get it off to someone who can manufacture them at scale.
Yeah.
And and that's all done in California.
Yes, right now it's all done in California. I actually do want to expand internationally. I'm not set on it being only in the US, but I just want to make sure that if we go international, that we're still being responsible and ethical about it.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so many great options out there. You know, it's increasingly possible to find the right suppliers anywhere in the world, really. Exactly. Interesting. So the first products were surf wear for women?
Yeah, so it was actually my boyfriend that came up with the side tie, or fiance, soon to be husband.
Oh, great. Congratulations.
Thanks. He came up with the side tie probably a couple of years ago, but he's not into fashion. So when he met me and I was talking about making swimwear, he was like, oh, I've had this great idea. One of the other things we're actually making that he also came up with is a Hawaiian shirt rash guard. So that'll be coming out soon as well.
Oh, that's pretty cool. What a great idea.
Yeah. So it started with a pair of board shorts and then one piece. That was what was on the Kickstarter. Or actually it was, which one did I use? It was the other one. I always say Kickstarter, but
Indiegogo.
Indiegogo, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Indiegogo.
Oh, that's great. I mean, and it's amazing to run a successful crowdfunding campaign, and obviously that generated quite a lot of buzz as well. People were excited about the product.
Yeah.
And you got to the point where you set up an online store and stock products, and people are buying them and reviewing them, which is exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Yeah, the probably the most gratifying thing is when we get somebody that we have never heard of before buying our products in some, in a different country even sometimes, and it's like the best feeling to know, oh my gosh, like it's actually getting out there. It's more than just like my friend circle or my San Diego circle. Yeah.
For sure. It feels like that with a lot of the things I do. I released a book recently and it was purchased by all of my friends. And then every now and then you get one sale from me, from the US or from the UK, or that's great. So recycled plastics, how did what's the process in actually sourcing plastic? I'm fascinated by the idea of recycling ocean plastics. Are there companies that actually collect them and allow you to source the materials?
Yeah, so getting recycled clothing is actually so much easier nowadays. So a lot of the companies that, like the fabric manufacturers that sell wholesale, actually will have a recycled fabric line, which is awesome. So there's kind of two different types. There's nylon and polyester. And nylon is like the fishing nets, and then polyester is more like the water bottles. So ours is polyester, and that's because polyester does a little bit better in terms of overall use for not just the ocean, but also swimming pools. So they can be used for everything, whereas nylon is a little bit more geared towards ocean use and not as much towards swimming pools.
Interesting. I never thought of that, the different materials and how they degrade or last in different environments. Interesting. And something that I'm really fascinated about, maybe you've got a perspective on it, is the whole neoprene industry. Recently I saw on the Rip Curl website a big warning below one of the rash vests, one of the ones that I actually use and quite like, saying, warning, this product may be carcinogenic. Oh, that's quite scary for a surf product, right? What are your thoughts on neoprene there are alternatives, aren't there?
Yeah, so we have never used like straight neoprene as far as our products. We've used geoprene, which is the limestone neoprene, and
Yeah, I've heard of
then
that.
yeah, and then Ulex, which is plant-based neoprene, um, which is what our new suit is made from. And I'm guessing that what Rip Curl is referring to is probably the glue. The glue can be
Ah,
carcinogenic.
okay,
Yeah,
right.
the actual neoprene, it should be just rubber.
It should be rubber, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, does the rubber degrade and release chloroprene or whatever it's called? I'm not a chemist, but you know, I sometimes wonder about we put these rubber products in this crazy environment, you know, sunshine, salt water, and you know, human liquids and all the rest of it. Well, I don't know. um, how well can they? What happens when they start to degrade? It's really, I don't know.
That's a
Just so.
that's a good question. I actually
Mm,
don't know a ton about
yeah.
that. But I mean, I've been asked a lot, like in terms of plastics, use of plastics or use of
Mm,
neoprene or any of that. And I think that the core of all that is that anything new is going to, whether it's plastic or whether it's energy,
mm-hmm.
is going to cause a strain on the environment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's more about making your stuff last as long as possible.
Yeah.
And that's why we also offer like a ding repair, kind of what like Patagonia uses, where they do we'll repair your old stuff.
Great.
So try to keep just like it in people's closet for as long as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That makes a lot
So
of sense.
it's all about slow fashion rather than fast fashion.
Mm.
Fast fashion is not the way to be environmentally friendly, even if it is made of recycled material.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
disposable clothes should be a thing of the past for sure.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's scary, some of the stuff that gets produced, you know, wetsuits that last one winter, some of the
Yeah.
super lightweight wetsuits. That's what I like
Yep.
about some of the Patagonia products. I mean, I reviewed one of their Ulex wetsuits a few years ago, and
Oh yeah.
it was really stiff. And it wasn't fun to wear, but gradually it loosened up. And now, 3 years later, it's still
It's
perfect.
still
It's
great.
exactly the same. It's exactly the same. So, you know, you just make that compromise, and it's not going to feel as slick as a brand new whatever wetsuit, but it's still super warm. It doesn't leak. It's amazing. So, you know,
That's really important. Yeah.
quality. Yeah. And I,
Yeah.
I, I like the Ulex construction. So that'll be great in your forthcoming range. Mm.
Yeah. And Patagonia is something that we always look to them in terms of how they're using materials and everything, which is
Yeah.
why we decided to switch to Ulex. And I also read that book, Let My People Go Surfing by Yvon Chouinard. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Patagonia. Always have
Yeah. No.
been.
Me too. Me too. I at the moment I have a lot of Patagonia ads running on my website, and I just think the more we get people moving towards those types of products, the better. And just the way that they care for their employees and communities is special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how I hope businesses will all start to move. Seems that they are. I was reading a report recently that said for the first time, 200 of the US's major company CEOs released a new report. I don't know if you heard about this at the end of last year, where they said for the first time, we're placing our people and our communities above shareholder value, which is amazing. You know,
Oh,
above, yeah. So that's Tim Cook from Apple and Facebook, and you know, all of these companies are valuing people above profit, which is
that's
important.
awesome.
Yeah, it is.
That
Yeah.
is
So
definitely not
I don't
normal as
I don't
far
know
as I
why
thought.
it didn't make it into the news, which is ridiculous. You know, it's
Okay.
I can't believe it. I mean, that should be
It's too
headline
good.
news.
It's too good of news to make it to the
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. There
Yeah.
was probably something about the royal family that was more important, or I don't know. Yeah. So, how big is your team? Do you have a few people collaborating with you? working with you?
I don't right now. It's actually just me. Yeah, and I mean, I have, you know, a manufacturer, and I have people I work with photography wise and model wise. We use all of our basically people we know in the community who are surfers. So yeah, but yeah, right now just me.
That's yeah,
kind of crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. You must be kept pretty busy.
Yeah. I actually also have a day job, so that I can, you know, keep funding this dream, and hopefully, I'm hoping it's kind of like a 5-year plan. If I can get it moving within 5 years to the point where I feel that I can quit and then have this move into the next phase, that's my goal.
How does it feel, you know, transitioning from day job into passion project, and often in the evening after a busy day at work? Is it difficult?
It is difficult. I'd say the hardest hit for me is hanging out with friend time. That's probably the thing that gets hit the most, which is a bummer, but it's also made me develop more friends that can understand, who also have, you know, passion projects or dream jobs that they're working towards. So, you know, you kind of surround yourself with what makes sense. Yeah.
It's important. It's important. Yeah, people who understand. And so tell me about the is it called Coffee by the Seaside?
Yeah, Coffee by the Sea. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's that all about?
Yeah, so Coffee by the Sea, it actually started when I first met my boyfriend. We were surfing Cardiff by the Sea, Cardiff Reef. We were surfing there almost, you know, every other day, and we saw a lot of people, you know, just standing around before the surf, just checking the surf, drinking their coffee, and we wanted to kind of build that community and have something that, you know, we could all meet up and have friends come. And so we started bringing free coffee to the beach every Friday, rain or shine. So we're there at 6:30 a.m. and we go, and if it's raining and the surf is not good, we do a beach cleanup, or take our dog for a walk. And when Hakuna Wear started, I was like, oh, this is the perfect thing to also include for Hakuna Wear. So now we advertise it through Hakuna Wear as well, and just, you know, just try to tell people, just come, and, you know, if you're not great at surfing, you don't have to surf. You can go for a run, you can go for a walk, but the consistency and just being at the beach, it's just the best start to a Friday.
I love it. Even in winter?
Even in the winter.
Wow, that's dedication. I love it. Yeah. Well, and it's a great opportunity to meet like-minded people, and for them to, you know, find out about some of the initiatives that you're supporting. I think it's such a great idea. Yeah. We should have that everywhere. Maybe I'll have to start that where I live. Coffee by the Sea in Mount Maunganui. It's a nice concept. You know, that by itself could be a really nice franchise.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we collect donations if people want. We collect donations to charities, but, you know, we also don't. There's no pressure. We always make that clear. Like, if you don't want to donate, don't. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah. And so, Hakuna Wear, how did the name come about? Because I have to say, the brand looks really good. I mean, it looks like you've got a large team somewhere out there. Okay. You know, when I saw the logo, I mean, I love the logo. I'd love to find out what was the inspiration behind the logo and the name.
Okay. So the name came, I kept just thinking, I tried to think of a million, like, kind of funky names for the brand, and I just kept coming back to the no worries. You nailed it in your video when you said Hakuna Matata means no worries. And that's really what the brand is all about. When you put on a Hakuna suit, We want you to just feel like you're ready to do whatever you want to do and not have to worry at all about your swimsuit. And the fun thing is that it's also a play on words, because Hakuna in Swahili actually means without.
Without,
and yeah, so it's like without wear. So it's, you know, like kind of like you're naked. So I think that's funny too.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
And I actually had some feedback from Jen. We'll chat to you about the women's swimsuit, but she loved the little key pocket in the swimsuit.
Awesome.
She's, you know, it's as you said earlier on, 99% of swimwear out there for women or surfwear out there for women just doesn't have that kind of functionality. So what do? Hide your key in the bushes, or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, put it in your leg rope. That's not very comfortable either. So, no, great. And the rainbow colors, I love them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really love the rainbow stitching on the board shorts. How did you think of that?
Awesome. So the logo, it was actually inspired by this photo that I saw. It's a photo in the Maldives, I believe, and it's just this perfect wave, this perfect curl with a rainbow over it. And I wanted to really show how we're a diverse brand, and that we're not just like the typical surfer, we're for everyone. And like really let that, like, be free to be you, that our slogan, shine. So like, let whatever your colors are shine. And that's why that's why the colors are breaking away from the circle, is to kind of show that like we're not just like in a box, we're out. Yeah,
I love it. It's great.
Thanks.
Such a great concept.
Thank you.
So if someone was to come along and say, we want to buy Hakuna wear and integrate it into our big company, is that something you would consider, or are you focused on a particular vision for the future?
So I definitely have a vision. Right now, I don't think that would be something that we would be interested in, unless there was something where I could still be involved in it. Because that's my dream. I mean, my dream is to be a part of the surf industry and contribute to the surf industry, and in an entrepreneurial fashion would be ideal. Yeah. But I mean, who knows down the road what, you know, will happen. I always want the brand to represent surfers and to be that, you know, kind of outlet. I think a lot of brands nowadays have kind of not done that, and it's the reason why they're not doing as well.
Yeah.
Like the bigger brands.
Definitely.
So that's definitely something that's important to me in terms of my vision. But other than that, the vision for the brand is to I really want to get some, like, the people involved, the surfers involved, the active, sporty, you know, people to give us feedback and design some suits. I would love for some like designers to come in and do a little showcase, or do some like crowdsourced voting on some new suits. So that's really where I want the brand to go.
I love that idea. Would you consider, maybe I should tell you this offline. No, would you consider, now this, many male surfers would laugh and snigger, but surf tights for men. And the reason I say that is because I go surfing in places like Fiji and in the tropics, and your legs get fried, right? And I've seen girls out there, women out there surfing in, you know, their Lululemon tights just for sun protection, because you don't want to be wearing a wetsuit. It's like finding something in between. But has anyone ever come to you with something like that? I mean, you could have ultra long men's board shorts, but that's never going to be a good thing.
Like surf pants.
Yes,
that's actually
like fisherman pants. This is not going to work. Anyway, you don't have to give me an answer on that, but I'm thinking maybe I'll submit a little design, Ulex tights for men. There's got to be a niche for that somewhere.
No, that's a really good point, actually. They make neoprene leggings for triathletes and for paddlers, but they don't seem to make them for surfers, and that is a really interesting point. No, I haven't gotten any comments about that, but it doesn't surprise me. And the more people are traveling and going to tropical locations and in the sun, for 4+ hours a day, it is something that,
yeah. Cool. All right. Well, if you have that crowdsourced idea project at some point, give me a shout. I've got some design.
Got our first submission.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. And so your day job, what is it that keeps you occupied in the day? Is it, you can share?
I'm in global marketing for a biotech.
Okay. Wow. Cool.
So, yeah. And so actually that's a huge reason why I took this job, is so that I can learn more about marketing, so that I can apply that to my company. And I think it's working so far. So.
Oh, that's great. I mean, and I'm sure that what you learn from a completely different perspective in your company enriches what you do in the biotech firm. You learn when you run your own company, you get such specific knowledge about things that you would never get, right? So I'm sure it's a good way. Oh,
it helps both ways.
Yeah. And so next steps for you, you've touched on the vision, but in a dream world, in 5 years, how big is Hakuna Wear, and how big is the product line? What's going on in your life?
So I think in 5 years, I definitely would love to have the crowdsourced voting system up and running. I'd love to have definitely at least one person hired, if not a couple.
Yes.
Manufacturing overseas is a big priority for this year and next year. Trying to figure that out, make sure that we can do that ethically. And in terms of our size, I mean, I know that business goal wise, I'm supposed to have like a goal for every year, but right now, to just kind of, I guess, not stress myself out, I just try to think about just constantly growing. As long as we're growing and moving in a forward direction, then I'm happy. And in 5 years, hopefully I'll be working on it full time.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you. I think choosing arbitrary numbers and stressing ourselves out over those types of targets is ridiculous. Focus on growth, adding value, which you are, innovation, which you are, and those are the metrics to use as your guide, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's all of my questions, unless you have anything else that you'd like to share with people who are interested and have taken the time to catch up with us.
I would say if you have any questions whatsoever, or any feedback, anything to say to me or to the brand or anything, please just email us. We're always down to talk, always down to hear about what you want from the brand. So don't hesitate. You're talking to a human.
I love that. It's so refreshing. It's so refreshing. You contact some of the bigger brands, and I'm in the industry and just don't hear back sometimes. It's strange.
Yeah.
So
it really does.
That's great.
Yeah. It does mean the world to us when you tag us on, Instagram or like any of those little things. It just makes our day. And, a review like the video review you all did, that's the perfect example. I mean, that really made my week, and it went out to my Facebook group and people are just loving it.
Oh,
and it just
so great.
Makes such a difference. Yeah.
So great to hear. And so in terms of social media, do you want to tell people where they can find you? It's
just at Hakuna Wear. That's HAKUNAWEAR. And it's hakunawear.com, at Hakuna Wear at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, We don't use Twitter very much, but it's there.
I don't.
Yeah, so that's where you can find us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And congratulations on all the progress you've made so far. It's really impressive and we love your work.
Thank you. Thanks. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. We'll catch up again soon.
Okay. Sounds good.